Have you ever noticed how strange attraction can be? The harder some men try, the less interested a woman becomes. Yet the moment they stop chasing, stop texting first, stop seeking approval, something changes. Suddenly she notices. Suddenly she becomes curious. Suddenly she starts wondering where you went. Now, before anyone misunderstands this isn't about manipulation or playing childish games. It's about understanding a simple truth of human psychology. People rarely appreciate something when they believe it will always be there. And today, I'm going to tell you a story that perfectly illustrates this lesson. A story about a man named Ethan, a man who made the same mistake millions of men make every day, and how losing a woman became the very thing that changed his life forever. Chapter 1. The Beginning. Ethan met Ava at a coffee shop. She wasn't just beautiful, there was something about her energy. She seemed confident, relaxed, and completely comfortable in her own skin. They talked for 20 minutes, then 30. Before leaving, they exchanged numbers. Ethan walked out feeling excited. For the first time in a long while, he genuinely liked someone. That night, he couldn't stop thinking about her. The next morning, he sent a message. She replied. The conversation flowed naturally. For the first week, everything felt easy. But then something started happening. Ethan became emotionally invested far faster than Ava did. Every notification mattered. Every reply felt important. Every delay felt personal. If she answered quickly, his mood improved. If she took hours to respond, his anxiety increased. Without realizing it, he was handing control of his emotional state to someone he barely knew. And that's where the trouble began. As the weeks passed, Ethan started trying harder. He texted first every morning. He checked in throughout the day. He always made himself available. If Ava wanted to meet, he rearranged his schedule. If she called, he answered immediately. He thought this demonstrated commitment. He believed effort would create attraction. After all, that's what he'd always been told. Show her how much you care. Prove your value. Be consistent. Be available. Be attentive. But there was one problem. Attraction doesn't always reward effort. Sometimes it rewards confidence, and confidence often looks very different from constant availability. Ava slowly began pulling away. Not dramatically, just little things, longer response times, shorter messages, less enthusiasm, less curiosity. Ethan noticed every change, and because he noticed, he became even more determined to fix it. He sent longer texts, asked more questions, tried harder to keep conversations alive. The more distant she became, the harder he chased. And the harder he chased, the more distant she became. Here's where many men make a critical mistake. When attraction starts fading, they assume the solution is more effort, more texting, more attention, more reassurance, more chasing. But attraction isn't a fire that can always be reignited by adding fuel. Sometimes too much fuel smothers the flame. Think about it this way. Imagine someone calling you 20 times a day. At first, you might appreciate it. Eventually, it becomes expected. Then it becomes overwhelming. And finally, it becomes something you want less of. Human beings adapt quickly. We stop valuing things that feel guaranteed. Not because we're bad people, because that's how the brain works. Scarcity creates awareness. Certainty creates comfort. Too much certainty can create boredom. Ethan didn't understand this. All he knew was that he was losing Ava, and he was terrified. One evening, Ethan sent Ava a thoughtful message. Hours passed, no response, then a day, still nothing. 2 days later, she finally replied with a short sentence. No explanation, no excitement, no effort. For the first time, Ethan felt exhausted. He realized something painful. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't force someone to value him. He couldn't convince someone to become interested. He couldn't negotiate attraction. That night, he made a decision. He stopped chasing, not as a strategy, not as a game, because he was simply tired. And that decision changed everything. Instead of focusing on Ava, Ethan started focusing on himself. He returned to the gym. He reconnected with old friends. He spent weekends exploring new places. He picked up hobbies he had abandoned. He worked harder on his career. At first, it felt strange. His mind still drifted toward Ava. He still wondered what she was doing. But slowly, something happened. He became busy, genuinely busy, not pretending, not posting online for attention, actually building a better life. And with each passing week, he thought about her less. His confidence grew, His world expanded. His happiness stopped depending on a text message. For the first time in months, he felt free. Then one afternoon, his phone buzzed. It was Ava. "Hey, stranger. Haven't heard from you in a while. How have you been?" Ethan stared at the screen. A month ago, that message would have made his heart race. Now he simply smiled. What changed? Why was she suddenly reaching out? Because for the first time, she experienced his absence. The attention she once assumed would always be available was gone. The certainty disappeared. And with that certainty gone, curiosity took its place. She wondered about him. She thought about him, not because he played games, because he stopped making her the center of his universe. Curiosity is one of the strongest emotional forces in human psychology. When people understand everything, they stop paying attention. When something remains unknown, they become interested. This applies to books, movies, businesses, and relationships. Many men reveal everything immediately, every plan, every feeling, every insecurity, every dream, within days. They believe total transparency creates connection, but connection grows through discovery. People enjoy uncovering layers over time. They enjoy learning who you are gradually. Mystery isn't deception. It's allowing life to unfold naturally instead of presenting your entire story at once. One thing Ava noticed after reconnecting with Ethan was that he had changed. He wasn't rude, he wasn't cold, he wasn't arrogant. He simply respected himself more. He no longer dropped everything for attention. He no longer sought validation. He no longer acted as though her approval determined his value. And that made a huge difference. Because confidence isn't loud. Real confidence is quiet. It's the ability to remain calm when outcomes are uncertain. It's knowing your worth even when someone fails to recognize it. It's being willing to walk away from situations that don't serve you. People are naturally drawn to that energy, not because it's perfect, because it's rare. Many men believe women only notice looks, or money, or status. Those things can create attention. But attention and attraction are not the same thing. What many women notice is emotional strength. They notice confidence, purpose, passion, direction, the ability to remain centered under pressure, the ability to enjoy life without constantly seeking approval. When a man possesses those qualities, his presence becomes memorable. And when he's absent, that absence becomes noticeable. That's what happened with Ethan. Ava didn't suddenly become interested because he disappeared. She became interested because the man who returned was different, more grounded, more confident, more fulfilled. Months later, Ethan reflected on everything that happened. He realized the biggest mistake wasn't chasing Ava. The biggest mistake was abandoning himself. He had stopped prioritizing his own growth, stopped focusing on his own goals, stopped living his own life. And that's a mistake many people make in relationships. They become so focused on being chosen that they stop choosing themselves. But the moment Ethan started investing in himself again, everything changed. Not just his dating life, his entire life. His confidence improved, his friendships improved, his opportunities improved, and most importantly, his relationship with himself improved. If you remember nothing else from today's video, remember this. The goal isn't to make someone miss you. The goal is to become someone who naturally leaves an impact. Build a life that excites you. Develop confidence through action. Protect your self-respect. Maintain your standards. And never make another person the source of your entire happiness. Because when your life has purpose, people notice. When your attention has value, people appreciate it. And when your presence is genuine, your absence becomes unforgettable. The irony is that the moment you stop chasing validation is often the moment you become most attractive. Not because you've changed who you are, but because you finally remembered your worth, and that changes everything.